Welcome everybody to the post-game lobby where I'm joined by Stress, Perks and Mithy to look back on week 1 of the 2017 EU LCS Spring Split. Thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen, and we're going to start by taking a look at the last series of the week, which was H2K versus Splyce. H2K, they had already won their first series of the week versus OG. Up versus Splyce, it could have been an equal fight, but H2K dominated them.
It was disappointing from Splyce, really, when you look at it. I mean, we expected so much more. H2K just tore them apart. As soon as we look at the in-game, just H2K were drawing them around the map time and time again. Big fights going all H2K's way.
Is it safe to say that OG was a harder opponent than Splyce?
I mean, we discussed, but in terms of where the gold was at 20 and 25 minutes, maybe. You're not going to offer any more analysis?
Nah, I just thought it was funny to comment.
That was funny indeed.
Well, we saw Feberman in Game 1 going off pretty heavily. Perks, your thoughts on his performance? I mean, Game 1, the Jace. What do you think?
I think he's playing really insane. Or like, he's playing really good. He's playing how he's supposed to play. He's playing, I think him and Jankos are really good mid jungle. Like together, they play really good around pressure and around where to move or when to gank. I think Jankos is like really good at ganking too. So they're a really good duo, I think. And that's why they will be a really strong team.
Jankos was also player of the series, especially awarded by Perks also. So he'll thank you for that. One final thing maybe about Splyce. We saw them in their first match. Really not a good showing, Mithy. Why do you think that was and how do you think they can evolve?
I think they just got frustrated as soon as they lost their first 1 or 2 kills, but I really thought Splyce was going to put up a better showing than what they did today.
I think in Game 1, like draft was not so well done by Splyce, so it's like kind of an excuse for them to lose the game. But I think in Game 2, the draft was pretty good and they had like everything they needed to win the game. Was just they had a good comp, they had a good 1-3-1, they had good after level 6, but they just fell too far behind. And after level 6, they did some poorly plays. How Fabiano to like Katarina. He didn't play the matchup as he was supposed to play, I think, and he tried to force too much, so he got punished for it. And I think after that, it was really hard for him to come back. So mid-jungle of H2K was just pressuring them up.
Much stronger in the first week. Splyce will have to go back to the drawing board. I do want to highlight another matchup we saw here, the very first one of the week. G2 Fnatic. This is now 2 days ago for you guys, 2-1. What were your thoughts, Mithy, now that you've had some time to think about
it? That's exactly my thoughts. That's really exactly my thought, because I really didn't, like, the games were so messy, there was so much action, and it was really...
fun to watch, though, if you guys want to rewatch it.
It was really fun to play, too, actually.
I think, for me, it was like I was extremely nervous this series, and here I'm seeing myself getting a bit outplayed. But here, in my excuse, I didn't know I was in turret range, so there was like someone played the turret to be a bit longer range.
Right.
So that's a bit unlucky. And overall, the series was really insanely hype. I think both mid laners were like kind of nervous because I played really bad, or I played good after lane, but I played really poorly. And Caps didn't play at his level, what he's usually is too. So it's like...
Caps is better, is you're saying? Caps is better than what he did?
Caps is really insane, but he just didn't show it yet.
I'll write that down on our list.
That's a good meme. And I think Game 2 and 3 were like so messy, so I had no clue what was going on.
Yeah,
well,
we were
you guys did win.
To the old Fnatic backdoor with the rise from Caps. You've heard, Perks, your thoughts on Caps. Mithy, quick thoughts on Jez's return to the Rift?
He played well in those games. They had a bad matchup every game, and they did fine. But the matchups, like I was saying earlier, like when we were talking about matchups on bot lane, they just had a bad matchup, and at some point they lost their tower. But he did fine overall.
All right, well, it was a very interesting one to watch. If you're going to rewatch one of the matches this week, you should certainly watch Fnatic G2 again. And another one we want to highlight is the Unicorns of Love versus Vitality. Just because the Unicorns of Love, they had a game plan and they broke the mold in terms of picks and bans.
Again, trying to break a little bit of the meta game we had in the 10 pick and ban phase, at least for the Unicorns. You know, they let the Rengar through, picked the Ivan, picked a bunch of shields in response. And Unicorns always exciting and did not let anything down against Vitality.
Unicorns of Love 2-0 in their week. We had a post-game interview this week also with Feberman of H2K, who said that Unicorns of Love were very, very good, possibly second best in that group. Perks and Mithy, what do you guys think?
Well, we haven't played Unicorns much in Screams, I think, but I think they are a good team, like really good team. And they have good players on every role. I think Xerxe is a good jungler. Like, he's surprisingly good for a rookie. He's not like, he doesn't play as like any rookies like Contract, who was like carrying alone by solo queuing. But I think Xerxe is like a more controlled jungler. He plays like really smart and really good around the pressure.
Mithy facepalmed at that Camille.
Oh my God! I didn't watch that game. Like, oh, that hurt. Oh,
Yeah.
it felt like a stab on.
Well, Vizicachi was the player of the series also in that one. He did get his hands on Camille in game 2, so that's always good. Maybe Vitality. Where do you guys see that team going this split?
It's always strange, right? Like you always think, oh, Vitality, they're gonna be so good, and then they end up 7th place. So maybe it's safe to say 7th place now. I'm not sure.
Maybe Hachani can whip him into shape as we get further, but still a lot more to see from Vitality.
I heard
for
that
sure.
Hachani is insane. So
Yeah.
so maybe he can bring the team and teach them all how to play the roles, and then when everyone knows how to play the roles and how to pressure with the map and how to not play for kills or play for outplays like Cabocher is trying to do and play for pressure and smart play, I think they can be a good team.
Yeah,
Because they have good players.
They have good players. We have a lot to look forward to. All the teams are evolving. We're going to take a look at the standings after 1 week of competition, as they are ranked in terms of series wins. G2 has 2 of those for now. H2K has 2 of those. Then Misfits, Unicorns of Love, each one, and the rest of the teams don't have any wins yet. What is standing out for you for the standings for now?
One thing standing out, it doesn't quite come from the standings, but Misfits a little underwhelming in their first performance. Giants looked a lot better than people were giving them credit for, so we need a couple more weeks of play to see exactly where the newcomers to the EU LCS can find themselves later on in the split.
Mithy and Perks, when you look at these standings after week 1, is this somewhat to be expected, most of the things?
I think it was pretty much like drawn out to be that way. I mean, if we can safely assume that we were going to win our game, right?
Yeah.
Then yeah, I think that's probably like what everyone wrote off for the standings to be if G2 would win the first game.
All right, well, all plans so far. Look forward to what's coming up in week 2. It's a super week because we love those and we missed them so much. So many games, and let's see at G2. You guys are facing Misfits, so how do you think that's gonna go? They are the new and coming quite hyped team.
On Misfits, kind of remind me like G2 1 year ago, coming from Challenger Series with 2 Koreans and 3 rookies, I think. Oh, they're Power Rival, which is not a rookie. They're like good top and AD, and they're like a pretty interesting team. I think they're not like super good right now, but they have quite how is it called, potential to be good. And I think they're not gonna be like an easy opponent, but I think right now we will probably have the upper hand.
I actually didn't realize until now that I'm playing against my whole team, like my whole old team from Origin.
Yep.
Until now that we're actually all in the same group.
Yep.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I just went to another
Something
funny,
to look forward to.
Another funny thing to talk about.
So funny.
The real
What
standard
a funny
match,
fact, guys.
Unicorns H2K on Saturday. That's going to be a great match.
That's going to be a fantastic match indeed. Now, we are going to dive a bit deeper into week 1 with some rookies to watch and the 10-ban meta with our guests. So if you're joining us in client, be sure to hit up youtube.com/LOL Esports for the extended edition of the post-game lobby.
It's gonna be fun.
I'm gonna look at myself every time.
You're going to watch the VOD, of course. Well, now
I will
that's
see
out of the
myself on the
way.
client all the time.
Oh, and a zoom in over there.
Guys, come on.
You can see how good you look. So, we're going to talk a bit more about the week. We have a bit more time to dive into some things. And the first thing I want to ask about is your first week performance and just your new entourage and infrastructure. You guys added Weldon as well and Shark. So how's that all going?
I go?
Yeah, you go first.
Surprisingly good. I thought it was going to be a lot more messy, and like I didn't really like have any expectations, but I didn't think it was going to go as well as it's going right now in terms of coaching staff and how we are working as a team towards solving issues, talking about them, and yeah, in general, it just feels a lot better. Like, and it feels like we improve faster too.
I agree with what he's saying. I think we have never been like improving at such a fast rate and so efficient. Like everything we do, even the small things, like every small detail is being improved on by our coaches, on our players, and it's like we are facing problems a lot more. So we are like having conflict, but a positive and like good conflict, and we're just solving so many issues and getting better every day. So I think both of them are a really good addition to our team. And about my personal performance, I think today, I mean, overall, I've been working on like the last 3 months to play smarter or like just use my brain more, and it's been working really well. Even though my first game versus Fnatic was like, well, I was really like shaking and nervous, so it was just really stage jitters. But today I was really confident.
Would you mind giving then a concrete example of what did the coaches or what did Weldon then say to you maybe after that game or after that series?
Well, I wasn't like tilting or something. I was just nervous, and I was just playing bad. It's hard to explain, but I was not. I was playing nervous and bad. I was 0-3 with Syndra, and now I didn't tilt for a second. So I was like, I was actually proud of myself. You know, holy shit, I'm 0-3 feeding, and I'm mentally strong. Like at the Worlds, it was like, oof.
GG,
But now it's really good, and it's been a lot from Weldon too. I think like what he's been teaching us after scrims and between scrims, and yeah.
I think the best part is that we have kind of found, or at least for now, right? Maybe it's like a honeymoon that we're having or anything, but it just feels like, at least during scrims and maybe during the first few games of LCS, that even when things are not going well and when people are tilting off the face of the earth and things are like, just like we don't have a good day of practice and so on, they're still learning. There's still people trying to keep each other, like comfort each other and like keep the group together. And even if someone is really mad, that person will also like try to like calm down and talk about things with like slowly without trying to trigger someone else, you know, to like start a whole sad or madness situation. So it just overall feels a lot more professional, and that we're all working towards a goal without getting like dug in the bad things that are happening.
Yeah.
You know, you two are more of the outspoken members of G2. Is that the same? Have you had time to speak to Expect, Trick about this and how they're finding some of the progress that maybe Weldon and your support staff have been dealing with it? Because obviously they've been here now for about a year. It's like solidly that they're integrated in Europe. But when it comes to this next step on training, are they finding the same kind of results that you guys are?
I know since Trick has Dehan has been playing with us for just a split, so his English is not as good as Trick's, which has been playing like in Europe for 2 splits now. So I think Trick has an easier time than Dehan, because with Dehan we have to translate some stuff and have Trick translate for Dehan a little bit, even though he knows, like he understands like pretty much all the basic. But once you talk about like
More
some psychology stuff that
yeah.
Weldon starts talking about chemistry and stuff with us, you know, on the whiteboard,
then pulls out his phone and yep, let's translate this word and this word.
Yeah, but usually I think it's going well, and as long as we keep trusting and hopefully things keep going well, and even if we lose, we kind of like just keep our mental strength together and try to work on things to improve on. And if we keep that mindset, like maybe, like I said before, we're in a honeymoon pace, and at some point everyone will just explode and everything will go wrong. But for now, it's going well, and we will just try to keep it going how it's going.
I know you guys are focused in the moment, but just to put the fans at ease there, if you can say anything about it, obviously our big storyline is here. We know that G2 is good, and they should be good again domestically, but they're already thinking about those international events and that performance, because that is kind of the big blemish on your record so far. I know you said publicly, hey, we're focusing on the split and winning the spring split. So how much is that something that lives, or how much is that something that you consciously try and avoid a bit for now?
Well, for me, it's since my performance at Worlds was really catastrophic, and our team's performance too. For me, it's really important to win the spring split and go to MSI, where it all started, the whole fiasco. So redeem our my picture there, and I don't. In the long term, is of course goal, but I think this is my first goal, and this is what we should do, and I really will try for my life to do that.
Okay.
I think as a team, we are now looking, since we've now had the experience, and I think that during the first split that we played together, we just played a lot more comfortable, as in we just played around our strong lanes, or for example, bot lane would have a good game or they would have a good matchup and we just play around bot lane, and we didn't really like think about the strategy and how to play as a team. And even if we're playing around bot, we still should like play as a team around bot and not just like with our jungler only. And I think that we kind of like got that experience from Worlds, that teams were playing as a unit, and we are trying to implement that now this year. And obviously it's hard, and we're going to make a lot of mistakes, and we're making a lot of mistakes, but we are trying to have the idea where we want to work as a unit, and once we face a team that is also really good, then we will lose as a unit, and we will lose because we make mistakes as a team together, and not because we are just like all over the place and not really where we're supposed to be.
That's super interesting, and of course we'll be following your growth as well. Excuse me. And we also want to look at the first week of 10 ban system here in the EU LCS. We saw evolving metas already. Here we see again how everything plays out.
Yeah, we've had enough games. I think people are used to it now, but if you haven't quite seen enough, of course, pick and ban phase. Pick and ban phase 1 is 3 bans, 3 picks for each team, and then 2 bans, 2 picks in ban phase 2 and pick phase 2. We've had a lot of games on it. Perks, a lot of focus towards mid laners. Mithy, a lot of focus towards supports. Perks, what's your biggest takeaway about moving to 10 bans now?
Well, it's so complicated, and that's the first thing why I like it. It gives so much more like variables, what you can do, and right now I think the draft is actually like somewhat pretty balanced. like blue side gets more free bans because the red side has to ban Rengar and Camille, which are like considered really OP. And LeBlanc, I think, is like if you want to ban it or if you're not comfortable playing against it, even though I think it can be played against. And for blue side, then you have a first pick of an OP champ, or you have 3 free bans, which you can like target one, or you can like target different roles and then pick draft according to that. But for red side, it's like they have last pick in the first phase, so they can pick the champ and then ban something out that counters that champion. And I think it's just like it's divided what 3 roles are the most OP, or like what is the best blind pick for these 3 roles in the first draft. And then in the second draft is like about counter picking or getting a stronger matchup for like either bot lane or mid lane.
I think it's quite interesting that you say, so coming into the week, we thought, okay, Camille, Rengar have to be banned out for sure. And then LeBlanc, you say you can leave it open, because obviously for you, it would be really nice if you get your hands on it. But we saw, for instance, in the UOL versus Vitality series that Vitality got their hands on Rengar and the Unicorns of Love had a comp drafted against it. So, Mithy, do you still agree that Camille and Rengar are the must bans and LeBlanc may be left open, or how do you think the variation is evolving?
I think there's going to be like a lot of different versions and a lot of different strategies that are going to be coming up, especially when now that other regions are playing too, you can see what some other regions are testing and what some other regions have found out. So the game is constantly evolving, and so will the draft. Overall, 10-man draft, I think, 10-man draft, I just think that it's a lot more fun because you get to play a lot more champions and you have a lot more diverse things that you can do and a lot of playful things that you can do. And as long as the meta doesn't become like very focused on one thing, like for example for top it will be only tanks or only this and only that.
Please no.
Then it's yeah. But the main thing, or the thing I think that is going to be really nice is that at least I get to play a lot of different stuff, and maybe top lane will get to play a lot of different stuff, because on the last 2 bans you can target ban one player, target ban one pool of champions, and that just makes it a lot more fun.
And that oh sorry, please.
I agree with what Mithy said, and it's also more fun for mid lane, because right now on mid lane you can actually play so many different champions, and I like to play a lot of different styles. So I think it allows mid lane who have deeper champion pool to shine more, or to be like reliability in draft, or like you can win draft by just having either like a trust in your bot lane or top lane or mid lane to like ban out champions and then play like a 6 champion or like a 7 champion from the draft, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's really good for teams with wide champion pools.
Yeah, and also LeBlanc, Syndra, and Ryze were the most contested, and watching LeBlanc play or Syndra is also very interesting for the viewers. And then in terms of the support champion pool, we have Zyra, of course, a must-have. We have the Malzahar in there as well. In last series, there was also a Tahm Kench that was coming out.
That was the 6th champion.
Yeah. So how do you feel about the pool that is at your disposition, and how you can kind of flex your muscles with different picks?
I feel like I'm not really good at anything, but I can play everything kind of like okay. At least I not to the point where I don't get flamed too much. So overall it's fine. I can play MF, I can play Zyra, Malzahar, Karma, Tahm Kench, and then all the tanks, you know.
Do you now mean mechanically, or?
Yeah, mechanically. I mean mechanically. I think just in general there's so many things that you can play, and if you target one person, I think probably like the hardest for me would be to play Thresh well. But yeah, I think
just baiting people into playing Thresh.
In general, it's just more fun because I get to play a lot of different stuff, and it's just not like Braum, Tahm Kench, Braum, Tahm Kench, Tahm Kench, Braum, like it was before.
All right.
I'm interested to know, we had a lot of people say, oh, red side looks very, very strong with the number of, first bans, first picks they get in phase 2. And we've seen red side be forced into picks at the end of the first phase where, if you don't pick a Zyra or a Misfortune, it's going to get banned. What are your thoughts, Perks, on the strength of red side and blue side? Because everybody's still picking blue for first pick.
I think everyone is picking blue for the reason I mentioned, is that you can ban out someone. Like for example, versus Fnatic, we picked blue because I thought Caps was their best player. So if we ban out Katarina and I don't know what their champ was, only Katarina and the next game Ryze, that we will have like a lot easier time winning the game, because the way they play is they play towards mid and they rely on him to snowball and carry.
And then you lost game 2 when he played Ryze.
Yeah, but it was really unlucky. It was just unlucky.
Backdoor.
And it allows you to pick first pick, which is what I mentioned is really strong, like Zyra or something that's really contested, and then you can pick like 2 safe champions, and you can get a counter pick for the next one, and a safe blind pick like for top, or like counter pick for mid and safe blind pick for top, or vice versa. So
I think it will just change depending on the meta, because once red the red side doesn't have two, like I was saying that they were not maybe must bans, but right now they kind of are must bans, like Camille and Rengar at least. Then you have like it's very easy as blue side. You can just sit down and be like, okay guys, let's draft. They're gonna ban Camille and Rengar. Yeah. What do we do? You know. So you already know how they're going to start their draft, so you can already prepare your own.
Unless
draft,
you're against the Unicorns of Love. Of course.
Yeah, that's actually gonna be a tough one. Yeah.
But if you don't sit down and are like, yeah, okay, they have those 3 bans. We have 3 bans to play with. We have the first pick. We have this or that. You know, it's much easier to prepare on blue side. That's why teams are liking that side more. But once maybe those champions are not banned every game, then I think red side also has a lot of strengths because you have the last pick, so you can take a champion. Like you, for example, you can take Zyra on the last rotation of the first rotation of champions. You can take Zyra and then you can ban MF, for example. And then they're like, oh shit, no, he got Zyra and now we can't play MF into Zyra. So there's things you can do on red side too that are also very good. But right now, since it's very telegraphed that the red side team is going to ban at least 2 champions, it's much easier to...
TLDR, we're all happy with the 10-ban system, it seems like?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I also heard you talking about Caps, and we do want to also keep an eye on the new EU LCS talent, and it is Caps. Of course, Caps has some experience in the Turkish league as well, and he just seems to be fitting in really, of course, we're going to look at this again. Sorry,
He's so insane. He just knew the turret was going to hit me there, so he just flashed in.
So talk me through, what do you think the good things are about Cap so far? In lane, he seemed to be quite good, but you then mentioned that you had a better time getting into the game macro-wise. So give me your opinion on Caps.
I think in lane, in scrims, he was really, really good. I think on stage he was a bit nervous, so I had an easier time, or I should have had an easier time, but I didn't. And I think he's a really good mechanically talented gift player, how you want to call it, because he spams a lot of games and he just he plays the matchups very well. Like the lane matchups, he can play lane matchups better than probably every mid laner in LCS, but I think then he lacks a lot of things that other mid laners have, like experience, game knowledge, positioning in team fights, and just everything else but the laning phase. I think he has to work on that stuff, but I think he is really talented and he can go really far.
Do you think that of all the mid laners that we see, there's this arc? It kind of happened to you that you were really good mechanically and in lane, and then you kind of, as you say now you have to focus a bit more on the other aspects of the game and the macro. We saw the same thing with Febiven, actually. He completely slaughtered people in lane and mechanically, but then the rest didn't come and he had to focus on that. Is that just normal nowadays because you can't learn it all at the same time?
I mean, the Febiven thing is debatable in 2015 because Fnatic was so much better than everyone else. Okay. But he was really good, mechanically, team player, and just cleaning up and playing fights perfectly. He was really insane, yeah. But I think you're right. What you're saying is last year I was focusing more on myself, individually. I wanted to be so fucking good that I can win versus everyone with my eyes closed, you know. And it was not a good mindset to have, obviously, for a little cocky kid. And and then after Worlds and everything, even before Worlds, I already started thinking of more macro, more brain, using my brain, etc., etc. But it just, I don't know, it was a really bad tournament for me. And then after that, I spent a lot of time just focusing on myself, not the mechanics part and everything else, which made me grow and improve a lot. I think it's gonna be same for Caps, or maybe not, because maybe he will not be as cocky as I was, and maybe he will take advice from his teammates or just whatever to make him not feel the fall or the fail at international tournaments. So yeah, I think if Fnatic gets international tournaments, he will perform. I mean, it's early to say, but he can perform good.
He has 3 veterans in his team. I just want to point out. And Jessis is kind of a veteran too, in a way. And 3 veterans. 2 of them also, together with me, also helped out Sven when he was starting. He was starting to play. So I think that if he plays his cards out right and listens to everyone that wants to give him advice and wants to help him out, even though maybe all advice he doesn't agree with, but every advice is welcome, right? I think he can overcome all these small things that kind of hold you back.
We're all looking forward to seeing Caps' growth, and especially the Perks-Caps rivalry, which maybe we'll get to see a few more times in 2017. Speaking about a player that was playing for his team, I want to talk about Xerxes. For all the Unicorns of Love, has experience in Turkey, much like Caps, but this guy showed no nerves on the stage yesterday, bringing out different picks, bringing out the Rumble. We saw, the Ivan come out as well. Seemed to have a great game. What were your opinions on him, Perks?
He's actually impressed me a lot. I didn't expect, like, I saw in some interview that Alex said that he was going to be a new monster or something. I was kind of cringe to that, but it turned out to be really true. Like, he's really impressed me, and he's been performing he's been performing like a veteran, not like a rookie, which is like pretty surprising for me for a guy who just entered LCS. You know, yeah, he has experience in Turkey and stuff, but this is like a lot better teams and higher pressure, and yeah. He's just been really solid, and I look to see more of him.
Still, it's interesting that both Caps and Xerxes, they come from those Turkish leagues and they come here and they perform quite well immediately. And to the fact that he also has a big champion pool, which is, he fits in great in Unicorns of Love. If you have a deep champion pool, you can give Sheepy all these tools to work with.
Xerxes and Caps actually played on the same team, I think.
Yeah, they were carrying together.
So now,
they were insane.
See, there we go.
Insane duo. Imagine they were together in LCS. Holy.
those maybe someday. Well, they got off to a flying start on both teams here. And another rookie we want to keep an eye on is Ignar. He also got the player of the series when they played, Misfits played versus Giants.
Yep.
It was 2 days ago. There were a lot of matches. So, Mithy, what do you think about Ignar?
I really didn't watch the game. I'm so sorry.
You played versus him in solo queue?
I haven't played much against him, but he seems...
Can you say anything?
Okay, the games I've seen him play, he seems very... I mean, I've seen him play Thresh a lot, and I really have a very hate-love relationship with Thresh, where I think that the champ is useless.
The champ is good, but he's too bad to play it. So.
Yeah, I think the champ is... yeah, basically. I think the champ is useless one game, and then I get destroyed by the champion, and I'm like, okay, so maybe Thresh is a good pick, you know, and then I play it, and then I'm like, nah, guys, Thresh is horrible, trust me.
This is what happens when we give a support player of the series. Mithy is to say, no, I can't say anything about it.
No.
Ignar looked great in Challenger, like really, really solid against the Challenger support, so I'm looking forward to seeing him against more LCS supports. Now, the guy earned a lot of player of the games in Challenger, and if he can kind of maybe be a little less aggressive at times,
I mean,
we
I'd
might see an improved
say he
Ignar.
got his comfort pick in Thresh on that first game, and they didn't do so well. And then they put him on Malzahar, and he flashed in, and he ulted, and he saved those Barons. So I would say that maybe some of that Challenger experience is coming in. All right, that's it, guys. Anything else?
When do I play against Ignar? I play against
Next week, in the Super Week, actually.
baby.
Misfits
So
versus
Thresh won,
G2.
or?
Yeah, there you go.
So am I featured matchup? Is that how it goes?
You know what? We're going to think about it. But thank you guys very much for joining us here after week one. It is time to log out of the post-game lobby. That concludes week one of the EULCS 2017 Spring Split. From all of us here on the broadcast team, thank you for joining us. And we'll see you on Thursday at 5 p.m. Central European Time to bring you more League of Legends goodness. Good night.
Peace.